Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. get that door? Everyone, welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Let's see. I'm excited for an opportunity to preach to myself because the theme today is quite relevant for all of us. And today is the auspicious day of Ekadashi. This is the last Ekadashi in the month of Kartik. So super benefits. And these are the last 5 days of Kartik called Bhishma Panchika, something like that. So it's a good day to do spiritual stuff. And also, it is the disappearance day of Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. So it's a half-day fast for, yeah. So lots of advancement to be made today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sorry, just figuring this out. I think I'll just bring it up to here. All together. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, unto Narayan Rishi, supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nashtaprayeshu bhajreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatyutama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance on classes on the Bhagavatam, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, so is the transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Okay. All good. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we can do a Mangala Charana today. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Nagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpa Tirubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jai. Everything is now auspicious. If it wasn't already. So many auspicious things in this room. Like all the devotees in the Bhagavatam. Alright. So we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 3. Yamaraj instructs his messengers, and we are reading from text 23 to text 35, I believe. But I think we'll start off by focusing on 24, and then if we have time, we'll go through the rest. So can someone please read 23 translation?
My dear servants, who are as good as my sons, just see how glorious is the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. The gratefully sinful Ajamil chanted only to call his son, not knowing that he was chanting the Lord's holy name. Nevertheless, by chanting the holy name of the Lord, he remembered Narayan, and thus he was immediately saved from the ropes of death.
So we'll chant text 24. Etavatalam aganir haranya pumsam.
Etavatalam aganir haranya pumsam.
Sankirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam nam.
Sankirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam nam.
Vikrushya putram agavanya dajamilopi.
Vikrusha putram bhagavanya dajamilopi.
Narayaneti miyanana iyaya muktim.
Narayaneti mriyamana iyaya muktim.
Sorry, it's so low. Anyone else want to chant? Etavatalam aganir harananya pumsam. Sankirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam. Vikshusya putram agavanya dajamilopi. Narayaneti miyanana iyaya muktim. Sankirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam nam. Ikshusya putram agavanya rajamilopi. Narayaneti miyanana muktim. Kirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam.
Vikrusha putram bhagavanya dajamilopi.
Narayaneti mriyamana iyaya. Any of the Etavatalam aganir haranaya pumsam.
Kirtanam bhagavato gunakarmanam. Vikrusha putram
Agavanya dajamilopi. Narayaneti mriyamana iyaya muktim. All right. We can all chant the synonyms together. Etavata, with this much. Alam, sufficient. Aga nirharanaya, for taking away the reactions of sinful activities. Pungsam, of the human beings. Sankirtanam, congregational chanting. Bhagavata, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Guna, of the transcendental qualities, Karma Namnam, and the names according to his activities and pastimes, Viruksha, crying to without offense, Putram, his son, Agavan, the sinful, Yat, since, Ajamila, happy, even Ajamil, Narayana, the Lord's name, Narayan, Iti, thus, Mriyamana, dying, Iyaya, achieved, Muktim, liberation. Okay, so translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we have a very long purport today. It's not very long, but it's long. So buckle up, and we're going to hear a lot of nectar from Srila Prabhupada about the glories of the holy name. Haribol. All right, can someone please read the translation?
Therefore, it should be understood that one is easily relieved from all sinful reactions by chanting the holy name of the Lord and chanting of his qualities and activities. This is the only process recommended for relief from sinful reactions. Even if one chants the holy name of the Lord with improper pronunciation, he will achieve relief from material bondage if he chants without offenses. Ajamil, for example, was extremely sinful, but while he was dying, he merely chanted the holy name, and although calling his son, he achieved complete liberation because he remembered the name of Narayana.
All right, now we can pass the mic around and we can all read a bit of the purport.
Purport. In the assembly of Raghunath Das Goswami's father, Haridas Thakur, confirmed that simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is liberated, even if he does not chant completely inoffensively. Smrita Brahmanas and Mayavadis do not believe that one can achieve liberation in this way, but the truth of Haridas Thakur's statement is supported by many quotations from Srimad Bhagavatam.
In his commentary on this verse, for example, Sridhar Swami gives the following quotation: Swayam pratar grinan bhaktya dukha gramad vimushyate. If one always chants the holy name of the Lord with great devotion in the evening and in the morning, one can become free from all material miseries. Another quotation confirms that one can achieve liberation if one hears the holy name of the Lord constantly, every day with great respect. Anudinam idam adarena shrinvan. Another quotation says, Shravanam kirtanam dhyanam harer adbhuta karmana janma karma gunanam cha tad arte akila sheshtitam. One should always chant and hear about the extraordinarily wonderful activities of the Lord. One should meditate upon these activities, and one should endeavor to please the Lord. Bhagavatam 11.3.27.
Tammy.
Sridhara Swami also quotes from the Puranas, Papa Kashas Cha Bhavati Smaratam Tam Ahar Nasam. One can become free from all sinful reactions simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Lord day and night, Ahar Nisham. Furthermore, he quotes from Bhagavatam 6.3.31. Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnor Yagan Mangalam Amahasham Mahatam Api Karava Vidya Akantika Miskritam. All these quotations prove that one who constantly engages in chanting and hearing of the holy activities, name, fame, and form of the Lord is liberated. As stated wonderfully in this verse, Itivatalam Aganira Haranaya Pumsham. Simply by uttering the name of the Lord, one is freed from all sinful reactions.
So we'll just take a pause here. And so Srila Prabhupada, he's quoting a lot of verses here. Why is it important that he's quoting these verses? Anyone know? To back up his statements of the Shastra, yes. In this modern day and age, this is really such a huge value that Srila Prabhupada brings. Sometimes I hear from people they say oh, well, I've been studying Hinduism, and Hinduism says this. I'm like, oh, what were you studying? And they're like, well, I was watching some YouTube shorts. And so there's just so much floating out there, and there's so much that doesn't have any basis in reality. There's so much that hasn't been purely preserved. So we can see like, oh, another verse, another Sanskrit verse, another Sanskrit verse. But we can also appreciate how these things have been preserved, these things have been protected, and they've been passed down, and just how rare it is to find actual knowledge in this world. And we can see Srila Prabhupada's accountability and his backing up of his statements by using these authorized scriptures to glorify the holy name of the Lord. So, yeah, we should follow in this example, in that if we are to base our spiritual beliefs on something, let's have it not be Wikipedia, let's have it not be YouTube shorts, but actual Shastra. Please endeavor to understand Shastra, find Shastra, and study Shastra, because that's true knowledge. All right, we can continue.
The word alam, which is used in this verse, indicates that simply uttering the holy name of the Lord is sufficient. This word is used with different imports, as stated in the Amara Kosa, the most authorized dictionary in the Sanskrit language. Alam Bhushana Paryapti Sakti Varana Bakakam. The word alam is used to mean ornament, sufficiency, power, and restraint. Here the word alam is used to indicate that there is no need of any other process, for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord is sufficient. Even if one chants imperfectly, one becomes free from all sinful reactions by chanting.
This power of chanting the holy name was proven by the liberation of Ajamil. When Ajamil chanted the holy name of Narayana, he did not precisely remember the Supreme Lord. Instead, he remembered his own son. At the time of death, Ajamil certainly was not very clean. Indeed, he was famous as a great sinner. Furthermore, one's physiological condition is completely disturbed at the time of death. In such an awkward condition, it would certainly have been very difficult for Ajamil to have chanted clearly. Nevertheless, Ajamil achieved liberation simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord. Therefore, what is to be said of those who are not sinful, like Ajamil?
It is to be concluded that with a strong vow, one should chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For thus one will certainly be delivered from the clutches of Maya by the grace of Krishna. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is recommended even for persons who commit offenses, because if they continue chanting, they will gradually chant offenselessly. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra without offenses, one increases his love for Krishna. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prema Pumartho Mahan. One's main concern should be to increase one's attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to increase one's love for Him.
In this regard, Sri Vishnunath Chakravarti Thakur quotes this following verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.9.24. Evam dharma manushyanam uddhavatmani vedinam mayi sanchayate bhakte konyortho syavashishyate. My dear Uddhava, the supreme religious system for human society is that by which one can awaken his dormant love for me. Commenting on this verse, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes the word bhakti by saying, Premai voktaha, kaha anyaha artaha asya. In the presence of bhakti, what is the necessity of liberation. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also quotes this verse from the Padma Purana. Nama paratha yuktanam naman eva harantyagam avishyanti prayuktani danye vartha karani cha. Even if in the beginning one chants the Hare Krishna mantra with offenses, one will become free from such offenses by chanting again and again. Papakshayascha bhavati smaratam tam aharnisham. One becomes free from all sinful reactions if one chants day and night following the recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It was Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who also quoted the following verse: Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Kevalam, Kalo Nasyeva, Nasyeva, Nasyeva Gatiranyata. In this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the only means of deliverance is chanting the holy name of the Lord. There's no other way, there's no other way, there's no other way. If the members of the Krishna conscious movements strictly follow this recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their position will always be secure.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay, so Srila Prabhupada brings up many points in this purport. Let's see. First, he talks about how, he talks about how chanting is all we need. I've heard before, we want to keep the main thing. So, Srila Rupa Goswami, he has this verse where he says, one should mana Krishna niveshaya. One should somehow or other get one's mind attracted to Krishna's holy names. And the rules and regulations will follow. Everything else will follow that. And simply by chanting the holy name of the Lord, one is liberated, even if he does not chant completely inoffensively. I was also hearing from Hridayananda Maharaj that Smarta Brahmanas, they can often be the opposition to Vaishnavism, as we've seen throughout history. They threatened Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, made attempts on his life. They battled with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, philosophically. And so they believe that one cannot be liberated only by chanting Hare Krishna. But as all these verses have just confirmed, that's actually not true. All we need to do is chant. Yeah, I was doing some service back there, and Mother Kunti was cooking in the kitchen, and all I heard was a little glimpse of a lecture she was playing by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. But he made this wonderful point that, let's say we work 40 hours a week. Who here has ever worked 40 hours a week? I haven't. But he says, if we're working 40 hours a week and we can't spend 14 hours a week to chant, 14 hours a week for our spiritual life, that's, what the heck, You're working so much, but you can't spend 2 hours a day to chant. And this is our spiritual life. This is the whole point of our life, is to, realize God, realize Krishna. And then also from Tamal Krishna Maharaj, I was hearing, he said that no one ever leaves this movement for philosophical reasons. The philosophy, it's so grounded in Shastra, it's so authorized in this line of disciplic succession. No one ever leaves because of the philosophy, but they leave because of inattentive chanting. That's the root of it all, is if we don't chant properly, then and I've experienced this myself. Of course, I'm preaching to myself, but material desires become so much stronger when we don't chant properly. And whatever we're meditating on as we chant, we actually are contemplating those things, and thus it's pulling us away from Krishna. And with inattentive chanting then comes offenses to the devotees. So really this chanting it's the only thing we have to really, I mean, of course we try to focus on everything, we try to do everything, but if nothing else, just the chanting alone is all we need. And that's enough to keep our spiritual life afloat our entire life. Let's see. I liked a point that Srila Prabhupada made here. He said, let's see, he made so many wonderful points here. But he says, it is to be concluded with a strong vow. One should chant the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. For thus one will certainly be delivered from the clutches of Maya by the grace of Krishna. So we're in this month of Kartik. And Kartik, we try to make some vows. Same thing with Ekadashi. We call it Ekadashi Vrata. And then also on top of that, this is Bhishma Panchika. Am I saying it right? Yeah, so all three of these, they really encourage us to make vows. I remember one time I asked one of my teachers, so like, what's the deal with Kartik? Like, why is it that like everything is like so much more? Does Krishna love us more during this month, and then like he's holding back his mercy the rest of the year? Or like, is this like some video game where like there's like the booster and every coin you get is I'm like, what's going on here? And same thing with all these like very auspicious things. It's actually Krishna, he's trying to trick us into chanting more, you know. Ekadashi, Krishna is not like, okay, I want him to be hungry. Ugh, like, be hungry. Of course, there is a benefit to like physical austerity. Krishna is pleased when we make sacrifices of our comfort. But the point of Ekadashi, or the point of fasting days, the point of the month of Kartik is to have us chant more. There's these kind of like, you know, like how there's a sale and it's like 50% off, 300% off. And so these things are to attract the persons who have a little more to do, have a little more chanting to do. It's like, okay, you know, if you're not chanting a consistent amount yet, well, this month, this is your month. Hey, you over there, you know, do you want to make some advancement? But for a devotee, every month is for a pure devotee, every month is Kartik. Every day is like a Ekadashi to them, and because they're fully surrendered to the Lord, it's not like, yeah. Anyways, this is the point: is that our vows, our austerities should be for the point of chanting more. Our sacrifices should be to the point of chanting more, because it's the Yuga Dharma. And yeah, I know for myself sometimes it's hard to focus on the chanting. It's like, you know, there's so many nice things about Krishna consciousness, and you know, oh, I love to, you know, take prasad, and I love, you know, kirtan and the deities and the reading. Of course, we need all of them. We need all of them for sure. But we can't forget the main thing, which is chanting. We can't put chanting on the back burner. We should make our chanting the most important part of our day. And yeah, that's really what's going to sustain us for our whole Krishna conscious lifetime. Let's look a little more at the purport. I also liked this point that the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is recommended even for persons who commit offenses. Because if they continue chanting, they will gradually chant offenselessly. By chanting the Hare Krishna mantra without offenses, one increases his love for Krishna, as stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prema Pumarto Mahan. One's main concern should be to increase one's attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and to increase one's love for Him. So here we're also seeing that sometimes we're not going to feel it. Has anyone ever not felt it before for chanting? A little too often for myself. But this is very reassuring that even if we commit offenses, we shouldn't, you know, justify committing offenses. As we talked about earlier, if we are stuck on this offensive platform, gradually that will it'll develop into anarthas. It'll develop into further offenses. This is actually the first offense that turns into Vaishnava aparad later. But also, let's say we're really tired, we're really angry, we're really disturbed somehow, and we're not able to be attentive. Still chant. Still keep your vows. Still chant, because, at least you're not going back into the material pool and things will get worse, Just somehow or other chant. And let's see. Lost my thought wave right there. But yeah, God chant. Let's look at some more of the purport. Yeah, even if in the beginning one chants the Hare Krishna mantra with offenses, one will become free from such offenses by chanting again and again. Again, we're seeing this point. Just keep chanting. Just keep chanting. And I heard before from this devotee, this wasn't like so much from like Shastra, but it was their own realization that in Krishna consciousness there is no past for the devotee. We don't have a past in a sense. We don't have a previous material life we came from, or and it even goes down to like such a small level that let's say we chanted 15 inattentive rounds, but the last 16th round we're able to focus. Then that's the present. Don't even think about these inattentive rounds you had. Just focus on trying to make this round you're on free of offenses, and then even if you had chanted offensively, you will become free from offenses just by trying right now. And forget every round, it's every bead too. If you're on a bead and you spaced out 10 beads, but your 11th bead you're focused, that's the reality. That's the past beads are in the past, not to be focused on. And so if the members of the Krishna consciousness movement strictly follow this recommendation of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, their position will always be secure. Hari Bol. So, that's something that we should always keep in mind. I was hearing from my spiritual master. They were talking about how Kartik is becoming such a big thing. It's becoming bigger and bigger every year, and the Kartik yatras are getting packed. And Srila Prabhupada personally didn't emphasize the Damodarashtakam so much, and even when he was present, Kartik, it wasn't such a huge thing as it is now. And he just said, it's very nice that people are appreciating Kartik, but still we should keep in mind that it's still a detail. And everything that's not chanting, it can be considered a detail. This is the Yuga Dharma, So I keep the main thing. And, if someone new is coming to the process, it's not like, hey, I didn't see you offer a lamp. You broke your lamp streak, We can encourage them, but still the main thing is the chanting. The main thing is always the chanting. It's 8:16, so we can break for some discussion on chanting. And after our discussion, we can perhaps hear a little bit about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who himself would chant, I was just reading, 120 something rounds a day. 128, I believe. 128 rounds a day. Whew. And that's all he needed, Yeah. Okay. Dustin Peru. Sure.
So we were talking about how the followers of Shankara and Vaishnavas generally don't get along. Even before Lord Chaitanya's time, with Ramanujacharya's first guru was Yadava Prakasha. He was a follower of Shankara, and he became envious of him, and he tried to kill him.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So let's see. That's what Srila Prabhupada had tried to reconstruct as the Brahmin class. So that was where a lot of, although it's not exactly the Shankarites, but the Smartas, but they had this viewpoint on the Brahmanas and who is purified, who is qualified. And so the Bhakti perspective is that simply by devotional service we're purified, not by birth, not by this or that, but simply by serving Krishna, by being Krishna conscious. So yeah, like Dustin said, sometimes there can be some envy, and so yeah, Hare Krishna. Any other thoughts, comments on the glories of the holy name? Gokul Prabhu.
I would like to share. Just yesterday I was going through this Kali Santarana Upanishad where Lord Brahma is telling his disciple and son, Narada Muni, it is mentioned there that anyone who chants, Lord Brahma says, 35 million mantras, Mahamantras, Hare Krishna Mahamantras, his karma is reduced to zero. So I was calculating, like we chant 16 rounds into 108 holy names, so that comes to 1,728. And then by that calculation, if you do, it comes to around 55 years plus 4 months or something it would take. And if you chant 32 rounds, then half of that, and 64 rounds should be finished within 14 years or something. Then I contemplated on Bhakti Siddhanta Sarva Thakur Srila Prabhupada, who exclusively spent 10 years and some odd months. He used to chant 192 rounds every day, 64 rounds in the morning, 64 in the afternoon, 64 in the evening, like that, 192 rounds. So he chanted, in Indian calculation, Sanskrit, 100 crores, which comes to around what? 100 million is 1 crore, so 1,000 million.
Wow.
1,000 million names. So can you imagine? It took 10 years for him, and he chanted 192 rounds every day in Mayapur. There's one place, I forgot the name.
Hare Krishna. Go ahead. You reminded me of a point that I forgot earlier. Remember, I asked Keshava Swami, he was visiting, and I can't remember my question exactly. I was like, how do you get determination spiritual? Something like, how do you advance, basically? And he said that often we're looking for something very flashy, like the deities just winked at me, or like I had a dream where I was in Goloka Vrindavan, or like I got sent to China to open up a new ISKCON or something. But he said that actually our advancement is in the daily consistency that we put in. It's like putting in a little bit every day. Water chips away. Drops of water chip away at a stone. So while, sometimes our japa might not be the most flashy, it might not be the most, I'm seeing patterns, and I'm like, or I'm hearing the flute as I chant. I've heard some new devotees say, I'm hearing a flute noise as I chant. But that's actually the beautiful thing, is just putting in that little bit every day. Or for some it would be 192 every day. Yeah.
I also like the point you mentioned, and I started thinking about it, like Kartik one. It's like a bonanza, spiritual bonanza, right? So I'm so fallen, okay. But if you look at the statement that Bhaktisiddhanta Sarva Thakur Srila Prabhupada made, such a high, tall order for me, 64 rounds every day. He would say, in Sanskrit there is a word called laksha or lakha, lakpati. Lakpati means 100,000 American. So anyone who chants 100,000 names, anyone who didn't, he didn't even want to look at the face of such person. So he would say that a person who chants 100,000 holy names every day is lakpati, not millionaire, kind of thing. So not someone who has the real, so to say, so-called wealth, but real wealth is this, anyone who chants 100,000. So I was thinking, I cannot do that every day, but as you said, right, in this particular month or on Ekadashis, there is an opportunity and there is a spiritual impetus. Probably, I can resolve, and a few devotees, they do that. Every Ekadashi they chant 64 rounds. So we should just take this as a positive excuse to chant more.
Try. Manji Gopika.
Hare Krishna. Well, I just thought of this. We're talking about vows during Ekadashi and Kartik. But when His Holiness S.B. Keshava Swami Maharaj was here, not when he was here around Gaur Purnima, the year before he came in like September. It was before Kartik. Anyway, but he was talking about vows during Kartik. And the realization he came to is his day was so packed, doing service and preaching and maintaining his vows, that he couldn't add anything else to his plate for the month of Kartik. So he came to the realization that you can either, when taking a vow, increase the quantity or increase the quality. So his vow was to make sure that for 2 hours he was sitting completely still. There was no japa walking. There was no anybody that could come to disturb him doing those 2 hours, so that he could improve the quality of his japa. So I thought that was a really nice point. Not necessarily increasing quantity, but focusing on the quality is equally beneficial.
Jai. Jai, jai, jai. Any other reflections anyone has on their long times of chanting from some of our senior devotees here? What is the takeaway from chanting so long?
The long periods in my life where I didn't chant or chanted inattentively were very miserable. And since I'm got the great fortune that Krishna basically, relieved me from material responsibilities, I have no excuse not to chant attentively every day. So sometimes it takes until noon to chant 16 very, very good rounds. And for that, I'm very, very grateful.
Okay. All right. Anyone else has anything? Any comments or thoughts? Actually, I think I was supposed to look at more of this. Let's see. I guess we don't really have time to do the rest of the story. But we can read a little bit about Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. My bad. This is an ISKCON Desire Tree article, so let's see. Okay. Let's see how far we get, and then maybe at 8:30 we can just finish it actually. Does anyone want to read? I believe we read this in the morning, didn't we? But it's okay. We can read it a second time.
Excuse me. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj. In 1849, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji left Grihastha life after the death of his wife. He moved to Vrindavan and took initiation from Sri Bhagavat Das Babaji, a disciple of Sri Jagannath Das Babaji. For over 30 years, Gaur Kishore Das stayed in Vrindavan, performing bhajana under the trees at Giri Govardhan, Nandagrama, Varshana, Radhakund, Suryakund, and Raval Gokula. Sitting in seclusion, he chanted 200,000 names of Krishna every day, which is 128 rounds of japa. He felt painful separation from Radha and Govinda and cried profusely. As he wandered through the Devadasa Vana, the 12 forests of Raj, he would loudly chant the holy names in a deep voice full of lamentation. He would also relish the following bhajan.
Anyone know a meter for this? Or we can just read it. Kotai go premamai. We can all say it together. Kotai go premamai radhe radhe. Radhe radhe go jaya radhe radhe. Deka diya prana rako radhe radhe. Tomar kangal tomai dake radhe radhe. Radhe Vrindavan Vilasini radhe radhe. Radhe Kanu Mano Mohini radhe radhe. Radhe Asta Sakir Shiromani radhe radhe. Radhe Vrishabhanu Nandini radhe radhe.
Oh Radhe Radhe, where are you? O goddess of ecstatic love. Oh Radhe Radhe, all glories to you. Oh Radhe Radhe. Oh Radhe Radhe, please show me yourself to me, and thereby maintain my life. Your most despicable fallen servant calls out to you. O Radhe Radhe, O Radhe, O artful enjoyer of Vrindavan. O Radhe Radhe, O Radhe, O enchantress of Kanu's, of Krishna's mind. O Radhe Radhe, O Radhe, O crushed jewel of your 8 main girlfriends. O Radhe Radhe, O Radhe, O delightful daughter of Maharaj Vrishabhanu. O Radhe Radhe. Beautiful.
Oh, let's see. This is already. I already said that. Anyone else want to read?
Srila Babaji's Maharaj's mood of renunciation was unparalleled. Sometimes he ate mud from the banks of Radhakunda or the Yamuna. Other times he took madhukari from the Vrajvasis. Madhukari is a Babaji's daily practice of begging a little food from 1 to 7 houses, just as a bee collects a drop of honey from each flower. He saw all the Vrajvasis, residents of Vrindavan, as being the direct personal associates of Radha and Krishna. As a result of this vision, he would pay respects to every person, cow, animal, bird, tree, creeper, insect, ant in the holy dham. While staying in Varshana, he made a flower garland every day for Rai and Kanu, Radha Krishna. After 30 years of rendering intimate services to Radha and Krishna in Vrindavan, Babaji felt inspired by the divine couple to see Sri Navdvip He visited all the Leela sthanas of Lord Gauranga in Gaur Mandal. In Navadvip, he used to sing one bhajan, which means, by receiving Nitai's mercy, one gets Gauranga's mercy, which makes one eligible for Krishna Prem. With Krishna Prem, one can attain the service of Srimati Radharani and the gopis. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was the embodied form of Sri Rup Raghunath's renunciation. Completely detached, he would wash discarded clothes to cover his body. He drank from a rejected clay pot. Parched rice mixed with Ganges water or simply some mud from the Ganga's bank sustained his life. He carried 2 books written by Sri Narottam Das Thakur, Prarthana, Prema Bhakti Chandrika. On Ekadashi, he did not eat or drink a drop of water. Recognizing him to be a Mahabhagavad, many tried to serve. He accepted. Regularly, he associated with and heard Srimad Bhagavatam from Srila Thakur Bhakti Vinod in Swananda Sukhada Kunja in Godram Dvipa. Constantly absorbed in bhajan, Srila Babaji Maharaj had no desire to make disciples. On the request of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, however, he reconsidered. Upon seeing the true humility and deep attachment of Thakur Bhakti Vinod's son for bhajan, Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji accepted one disciple, Sri Vaishabhanvi Dvaita Das, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. To keep mundane people from approaching him for material boons, he once resided in the lavatories at the Kulia Dharmashala in Koladvipa for 6 months. When public officials came offering to build him a proper bhajan kutir, Babaji Maharaj locked himself inside and said he already had one. He believed that associating with materialistic people was much worse than the smell of stool in the latrine. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji was advised a Calcutta doctor who wanted to open a free health clinic in Navadvip Dham. If you really want to live in Navadvip Dham, then give up your desire to run a free clinic for healing sense enjoyers. If you want to render substantial service, then renounce everything except what promotes Hari Bhajan. All other kinds of duties and services simply bind one to the ghastly cycle of karmic reactions. Babaji Maharaj spoke gravely to a newly married man. A Vaishnava wife is extremely rare and difficult to find in this world. If one has the good fortune of having one, he should see it as a benediction from Krishna. The wife worships the husband as the Lord and Master. Similarly, the husband should worship the wife because she is Krishna Dasi, a servant of Krishna. In this way, the husband can protect his devotional enthusiasm by not considering his wife to be his maidservant, but she is always the maidservant of Krishna. One who wants bhojan, eating palatably, will spoil his bhajan, was a favorite quote of Srila Babaji Maharaj. In other words, eating here and there simply to gratify the tongue, bhojan, destroys any attempts to worship Krishna, bhajan. Once a devotee ate some festival prasadam in his bhajan kutir. Babaji Maharaj would not speak to him for 3 days. On the 4th day he said, "You accepted festival prasadam given by low-class Harriets and beautiful women. Because you took food without considering its origin, your bhajan is useless."
Maybe, that's just the last section. Maybe someone else wants to read. Oh, sorry. Let's see if this works. Sorry.
The essence of Srila Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji's instructions. The divine name of Krishna offers the one and only shelter. One should never try to remember Radha Damodara's
right here.
Transcendental pastimes by artificial methods. Constant chanting of the divine names will purify the heart. By chanting Harinama, the syllables of the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, will gradually reveal the spiritual form, qualities, pastimes of Sri Krishna. Then you will realize your own eternal spiritual form, service, and the 11 particulars of your spiritual identity. In pursuance of Babaji Maharaj's statement, drag my dead body through the streets of Navadvip, a group of so-called advanced devotees proposed to commit the said sacrilege. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, however, challenged them. According to Shastra, one who has had carnal association with a loose woman within the last 24 hours is contaminated and therefore not qualified to touch my Guru Maharaj. Hearing this bold statement, the black-hearted Brahmanas made a hasty retreat. On 19 November 1915, Srila Gaura Kishora Dasa Babaji Maharaj joined the eternal blissful pastime of Gandharvika Giridhari. His beloved disciples, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, established his samadhi on the banks of Sri Chaitanya Mata's Radha Kunda, near Lord Chaitanya's Yogapetra in Sri Dhama, Mayapur. In Vraja Leela, he serves Srimata Radharani as Guna Manjari. His Pushpa Samadhi stands beside the Radha Kunja Bahari, Gadiya Mata near Radha Kunda.
Okay. Jai Srila Gaura Kishora Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Shri Nam Prabhu Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.